We're now having a name change.
Yes, is that happening? Whether you're
I don't know. You have to ask the Prime Minister. India, that is Bharat, works perfectly well for me. But I think these, in a sense, to me, are panic reactions. There's a little bit of fear in the government. These are distraction tactics. Every time we raise the issue of Mr. Adani and crony capitalism, the Prime Minister comes out with some dramatic new diversion tactic. The democratic structures of our country, the institutional structures of our country are under attack, and they're under attack from the group of people who are running India. Of course, minorities are under attack, but so are many other communities. Dalit communities, tribal communities, lower caste communities are also under attack. I like to term it the fight between Mahatma Gandhi's vision and Nathuram Godse's vision. Nathuram Godse being the person who assassinated our leader.
This is obviously been conversation now about the name of the subcontinent, and your yatra was called Bharat Jodo, and
We're now having a name change.
yes, is that happening? Whether you're
I don't know. You have to ask the Prime Minister. I mean,
do you want to change? Do you want to change? Or
you know, these are
Bharat Jodo. So
I am perfectly happy with the names that we have in our constitution. India, that is Bharat, works perfectly well for me. But I think these, in a sense, to me, are panic reactions. There's a little bit of fear in the government. These are distraction tactics. We, of course, came out with the name India for our coalition, and it's a fantastic idea because it represents exactly who we are. We consider ourselves to be the voice of India, and so the word works very well. But it's obviously disturbed the Prime Minister enough that he wants to change the name of the country, which is absurd, but that's what it is. It's also interesting that every time we raise the issue of Mr. Adani and crony capitalism, the Prime Minister comes out with some dramatic new diversion tactic. It's curious that just after I did a press conference on Adani, this entire diversion is put into place. It's interesting.
Follow-up question as well. I was there in Paris to cover Mr. Modi's, Bastille Day parade event, and two things happened at that time, which is very controversial. There was a 17-year-old boy who was shot in France, and the French actually jailed about 1,000 people just so that the event would go peacefully. And at the same time,
I didn't realize that.
happened. And the EU tried to raise that issue, but there was no conversation on that in the platform. Instead, there was a lot of retaliation from the Indian ministries regarding the same, that this should not be brought up. We were actually talking of freedom at that time in France, and I thought that that issue should have been brought up. But what do you think about that? Have you spoken about it here when you
About what?
About the Manipur issue, the human rights issues that we're facing?
Yeah, I mean, our position on Manipur was very clear. I actually visited Manipur, and I think we are very much for democratic rights, harmony, peace between people. I mean, as Sam said, I walked 4,000 kilometers for that very purpose. And I think there is a sense in India that the democratic structures of our country, the institutional structures of our country are under attack, and they're under attack from the group of people who are running India. I don't think this point is missed by anybody. I think everybody who has even a little bit of an understanding of India knows this. But of course, there are other considerations. So when you're dealing with India these days, there are other considerations which are also important, as you would be well aware. The democratic fight And the fight for democracy in India is ours. And it's our responsibility. And we will take care of it. And we will make sure that the sort of onslaught on our institutions, on our freedom is stopped. The opposition will make sure it happens. I mean, of course, I would have to see the program before I could comment on whether it was exaggerated or not. So I don't know what that program was saying. But certainly there is an increase in discrimination and in violence in India, and there is a full-scale assault on the democratic institutions of our country. That everybody knows, and internally in India it's been commented on, and globally it's been commented on. Of course, minorities are under attack, but so are many other communities. Dalit communities, tribal communities, lower caste communities are also under attack. There is a attempt to change the nature of our country. Our country in the constitution is described as a union of states, and we believe that the most critical aspect of our union is the conversation between members of our union. And there is an alternative vision, which is the BJP vision, which believes that power should be centralized, power should be concentrated, wealth should be concentrated, and the conversation between members of the union, between people of India, should be suppressed. And so this is the fight between two visions. I like to term it the fight between Mahatma Gandhi's vision and Nathuram Godse's vision. Nathuram Godse being the person who assassinated our leader.
You've said in the past you were spied on by the government. Is that still true? Do you have any more information? Are you still being spied on by the Indian government?
I mean, the fact that Pegasus was on my phone is a known fact. I mean, I don't know the details of how I'm tracked, but I'm certainly tracked for sure.
Yes.
In fact, just going back to the Bharat Jodo Yatra, there is also, I think I'm very loud. Everybody can hear me. All right. I have heard a lot of speeches before, starting 2014 onwards. You have been mentioning a very, very important, crisis that is coming up in India. The unemployment of the youth, which is at the highest level right now. While you were on your yatra across the country, did you meet the youth, and did this issue actually really come up many times?
Yeah, I did.
In various states?
I met thousands and thousands of youngsters, and all of them said exactly what you're saying. The three things they said: number one, unemployment; number two, huge increase in the levels of poverty and completely skewed income distribution. So few people getting very, very wealthy, and the bulk of people, being pushed back into poverty, and then rising prices and inflation. Those were the three things that repeatedly they told me. The fact of the matter is that India has the highest unemployment that it's had in the last 40 years. So there is something clearly wrong with our economic model. It's not accepted, and there's a lot of media support for the government. So those type of things don't come out. But I don't think the current path we are on, economic path we are on, is sustainable in any way. And there will certainly be consequences and a backlash to this model.
Minnambalam.com தமிழின் முதல் மொபைல் பத்திரிகை.